better be able to defend ourselves. We better have food, water, and other things. And I can't tell you when it'll all play out, but I expect they're going to bring us to the brink of disaster, then foist on us, which is going to be announced November 20th, a peace treaty where they're going to partition Israel and the state of Jerusalem. It's like duct taping two lethal weapons with nuclear weapon detonators in their hands, duct taping these two mortal enemies to each other and saying, now get along. And at some point, someone's going to push the button.
Sure.
So it's a guarantee of a future thermonuclear, biological, and chemical war. And planet Earth, almost certainly, if we allow the whack job CFR-directed Israelis to attack Iran with our help, we'll have a thermonuclear exchange between India and Pakistan within hours to days. And the Northern Hemisphere will be plunged into a thermonuclear winter, combined with the fact that we're heading toward an ice age, and they've now killed the loop current with the British Petroleum Cataclysm, and that oil has not stopped. And I've got reports from B.K. Lim, an oil geologist who I contacted several weeks ago and put him up on my TV channel, which is on livestream.com/the NutriMedical Report. By the way, my two websites are NutriMedical, where I give all my nutraceutical and wellness and technology for anti-aging and civil defense, as NutriMedical.com, and the website for the geopolitical, spiritual, and other above-government technologies is clayandiron.com. And the show is 12 to 3 Pacific, 2 to 5 Central, and 3 to 6 Eastern, with encore on Sunday evening. So that's kind of a summary. In other words, we're heading in a kind of like a shopping cart down the inside rim of a volcano, and the smoke and ash are flying.
Well, Griff, that sounds pretty much in line with what you were saying, times 10.
I agree with everything you've said, Dr. Deagle. What is your first name?
Bill. Just call me Dr. Bill. Just Dr. Phil with some common sense. How's that?
That's fine. Well, I agree with everything you've said. We've been saying the very same thing over here.
Yeah, it makes me, and I get most upset by not the ones that are doing the evil, but, Adolf Hitler was a symptom of the apathetic, Germans of the Reich. Apathy in the Americans is making me more nauseated than the actions of the globalists like George Soros and the Abominator. I call him Abominocchio. The people need to get their act together and stop attacking either patriots. And again, if they don't like our personality, listen to somebody else.
I'm not sure they're capable of that. The generations have been dumbed down through our education and other means for some time.
Exactly, and I believe they've been fluoride toxified, but they've also received what I call toxic ideas, apathy. They believe that people like us that ask tough questions, we must be crazy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But guess what?
Yeah.
People like me don't want to know what I know. I don't want to know like what I knew that night in 1995. When after I came home after examining the 5 special op forensics chemistry munitions experts that came back from the Alpha Primera building in Oklahoma City, one of them told me in great detail how they removed 2 unexploded micronukes, thermate RDX, and high explosive cord. And 3 months later, when he was in a bar in Fort Carson and told some of his buddies he got back, and he got court-martialed, and I got fired in death threats. So I know firsthand this and a lot more. And some of it I haven't even released yet, because some of it's so ugly, people can't handle what I know.
Did the CIA develop the bomb that blew up the building?
The bomb was developed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. It was an Army Corps Engineer micronuke developed by Operation Plowshare.
But there was a connection with the CIA.
No, the CIA, the people handling the bomb was the FBI and the ATF. The FBI had rogue units in the ATF, and they're doing experimental munitions tactical exercises for 6 months plus near Elohim City. Yeah. And I have documents to prove that the main one covering this up is none other than our current Attorney General, who was the Assistant Attorney General, Mr. Eric Holder. And I have the Mazeroff 302 documents to prove it on my website. They threatened Jesse Trentadue, who's an attorney and brother to his brother Kenny Trentadue, who is, if you want to call it, sacrificed because he was a dead ringer for one of their guys at Elohim City that they thought went bad, so they killed him. And they got a $1.3 billion settlement versus the U.S. prison system and the FBI that killed him.
I understand the type of bomb that blew up the building was tested in Nevada and killed 2 technicians accidentally.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
We've had
it was developed with support from the CIA.
Yeah, well, of course, all of these agencies are interlocked. Whether they're all the corporations. The way the world is run is the lettered agencies are all satanic, and they're infiltrated into every corporation, every boardroom, and the governments are like a dead organism with the stretched skin of nation states stretched over the hulking mass of the titanium beast called Earth Inc. And that's what we have. And we have to face the fact that they just want to have a brand called Made in America, but they don't want an America. They want an administered state where you don't have due process, free speech, or anything else, or freedom of movement.
I was cleaning out a paper box the other day, and I ran across a file on that bomb that I had made some time ago. Actually, the name of the bomb, the type of bomb, and so on. And I kind of marveled that I found my piece of paper that I had lost in the bottom of a box.
Oh, that's good.
On the bomb that blew up the building, from inside. Do you think McVeigh is dead?
No.
I don't either.
No, McVeigh was a Manchurian candidate.
But he's not dead.
No, I think he had one of these injections of polynectine to make him paralyzed, and he was taken away. There was enough signs to indicate that he didn't die a typical violent death. When you get a lethal injection, you're not a happy camper.
Well, from what I hear, it's quite cruel.
Isn't it interesting
very cruel.
that you
see
and I
people
both
writhing in agony as their vessels are on fire, and you start having seizures and everything. It's not quite Monty Python, but it's pretty close.
There were some other indicators that he did not die, and he's still alive.
So is Saddam
I think
Hussein.
You're the only other person that I've ever talked to that
I'm pretty certain he's not dead. Same as Saddam Hussein, 3 inches taller, straight teeth, hot rock massage in Indonesia, and he has his own private masseur.
Can you define the Federal Reserve note?
Federal Reserve note is a satanic note. That's why it has S for Satan.
What is it?
Well, basically, it's an anti-currency. It's not really money at all. It's anti-money. The Federal Reserve note is a note. The Federal Reserve note doesn't indicate it's backed by anything other than the blood, sweat, and the actual birth certificates of American citizens. They create it out of thin air after they take a bond from the Treasury. Then they stamp the notes that the Treasury and the engraving office actually make, and then they say now it's a Federal Reserve note, which basically is a private club of international bankers that use fractional reserve. Fractional reserve means they take a portion of money, they loan it, they take 90% of the money that they receive from somebody's deposit, or including the money that they take on IOUs we call Federal Reserve notes, and then they loan it to people, and then they loan that again 90%, so they just multiply it. So all of a sudden $10 becomes $1,000.
So
they create money out of thin air, and then they charge interest on it to the people. And this scheme, which is black magic, is considered real money, and it's not.
But it's not $1.
And it's not $1. In fact, what it is, the new one they want to move to is even more noxious. I call it the carbon death unit, because it's going to be a basket of currencies where 2/3 of the monetized dollars in the world, currency, is U.S. dollars, and 85% of all the non-monetized debt from these, what I call the casino currency market of derivatives, they want to absorb all that into a G20 green currency with a world global tax.
But there's no such thing as the dollar.
Yeah,
there's no such thing as the dollar.
The dollar doesn't exist. Yeah, the Federal Reserve note is not a U.S. dollar. It's a Federal Reserve note by
so when
international.
You say dollar,
yeah, it's an international.
No such thing as the.
Yeah, it's an international. If you want to call it debt note, that you owe that money to the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank and it's a foreign corporation. It's not even U.S.
But if it's a note, we should be able to find the definition, the legal definition of the word Federal Reserve note. It's a promissory note, but what does it promise?
It promises that you owe money that they created out of thin air to the Federal Reserve.
But it's not money. There is no money.
No, I know that, but they create the illusion of money,
right.
So they have people that are indebted basically with an illusion.
David Copperfield.
So we're trading private company notes that nobody can define what they are.
Exactly. For real property, which is why right now they want to collapse the world economy because they want to buy everything up at a fire sale. They've even given now, believe it or not, this is part of the scheme, they've given plates to the Japanese for 15 years, and the Japanese have used a little bit of restraint. But when they gave them 2 years ago with the 2008 collapse to the Chinese are printing pallet loads of money and flying all over the world now buying everything up in a fire sale. So they fly to Africa, South America, everywhere, and you get these black-suited, attaché-carrying Chinese flying in with pallet loads of money, buying everything, including the kitchen sink.
And these are dollars, you're saying, Doc?
U.S. dollars printed on U.S. currency note plates that are given directly to the Communist Chinese. Part of the scheme.
Well, they
not
truly
the Federal
do.
Reserve.
No, yeah, but they're called U.S. dollars but they're Federal Reserve
not
notes.
dollars.
Of course, I know that. That's true. But what they've done is the Federal Reserve.
It's not a dollar.
Yeah, well, I know it's not a dollar, but what they've done is we don't have a dollar. When Kennedy tried to get a U.S. dollar issued by the Federal Reserve, by the U.S. Treasury.
By the U.S. Treasury, he got killed over it.
He got killed over it, and he also announced he's going to stop having the CIA take out these national leaders of Central and South American countries. And they said, well, that'll get you killed too.
He did issue United States notes. They were red seal $5 bills, and I think they issue something like $300 million a year, and the Fed takes them out of circulation. Amazing, eh? But they're not dollars either. There is no such thing as a dollar. When you say gold is at $1,300, there is no such thing as a dollar.
Yeah, it's all illusion. What they've done
we
too
could say they're equal to 1,300 Federal Reserve notes.
Yeah, exactly. And the Federal Reserve note is all relative. Right now they're talking about trying to tell the Chinese to revalue their currency, but here America has given these plates to the Chinese to print up as many dollars as they want.
Right. It's all smoke and mirrors. It really is. Now, I haven't heard anything from John tonight. John, what do you got to say about all this?
Well, I'm just sitting here nodding my head in agreement with everything that's been saying. And they mentioned Jack Kennedy, and now don't quote me on the number, but if I remember correctly, it's $50 billion that Jack had already had printed. He was going to take us off the Federal Reserve and get us back on another standard. I don't quite remember what it was, but he was actually starting to print another monetary, more money from something else, a different monetary unit. And that was, from what I understand, was one of the reasons why they had him whacked.
That was the main reason. Yeah, and it's the reason why people like Saddam Hussein were finally given the option. You can go to Indonesia and change your name and get plastic surgery and disappear, or you can die. And we'll give you pallet loads of money to stick in the back of your transport trucks and get out of here. When you decided to have a oil bourse and use euros for your dollar without consulting us, because they're moving to a new world currency. The new world currency, the main backbone of it will be the so-called Federal Reserve note, because it's the same people in control. The Bank of International Settlements, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, the same banksters are running the game.
And really, what are we looking at here, Doc, as far as like a progression to this? Where do you see this going in the days and the weeks ahead? How can people identify this?
Today is D-Day. People don't know it. It's almost like when you cut the bottom of a Douglas fir tree that's 180 feet high, you can hear crack, crack, crack. But you don't realize that crack, crack, crack is actually the last few strands of the tree breaking before it decides which way it's going to fall.
Yeah.
That's what we're hearing today on the 30th of September, 2010.
Because we're most certainly seeing gold rise at a very significant rate. We're seeing the Federal Reserve note, Griff, we're seeing that devalue at a pretty significant rate. As a matter of fact, I think I saw it was at like $1.35 to the euro, and so we're seeing this devaluation occur. And I also got.
Well, they can only devalue it so much. You see, they want to only devalue it a certain amount to make the debt go poof, because it's all smoke and mirrors. But people don't realize that the backbone of the world currency is a dollar, and the virtual world system where everyone in the world, in the first and second world at least, is an icon in a supercomputer Sims matrix. And the third world has basically said, well, now you can die. Because as they said in 2008, and there were major economists in Switzerland, the contraction of the world economy caused by the collapse of 2008 does not support the population of Earth, and the third world are now considered disposable. So they want to have a biometric ID. They want to have a new world currency with a world tax based on the green sustainable development, And the money system is actually what I call an anti-carbon unit,